Welcome, welcome, everybody. We're looking at centers in relationship. So when it comes to the centers between you and the other, so I'll lead by example. As an example, what I want to hear from you is your recognition about how you affect your partner. So for me and my partner, my example is when I started talking about wanting to be a human design teacher, so did he. When I started talking about wanting to be a writer, so did he. So that's my effect on him. His effect on me, he's got a defined splenic center. His health challenges and wisdom potential, I ask him the question and I experiment, I'm a 3, with the solutions that he provides. He's a 5-1. So that's an example of how I can have in our relational dynamic more health, safety, and security, because this is a man who is here to broadcast health. So if I'm feeling uncomfortable or unsafe, unhealthy, I ask him permission before I go do this. I say, honey, I really need a hug, or can I just lay down next to you for a while? That kind of thing. I'm borrowing the good conditioning from his aura. If he's not feeling healthy, if I sit next to him, I can immediately feel the fever in my body that he's got, the fatigue in my body that he has because he didn't have a good night's rest. That's my experience. Okay? Mine. Now, the mutual conditioning, when the two of you who don't have that particular center activation, you come together and create mutual conditioning. Here's my example. My husband and I, we both have this channel. We love to daydream about how to spend our riches. Money. Yeah? Money. Channel of money between the two of us. My husband and I have tantric circuitry. And back in the day, we used to have a lot of amazing sex. Okay, a little bit too personal, but what to do? It is what it is. Other than that, my husband and I, the mutual conditioning that happens is that we have to happen to have amazing conversations and mutual conditioning. If I need to sit still in order to focus and concentrate on something to get something done, I will again ask him, hey, can I talk this out with you? Can I sit next to you? Can I borrow your energy, your aura, your perspective, your awareness? And then when I'm sitting there, I can get more productive or focused and concentrated in order to be lucky like him. He's got the 46. And in order to be in a rhythm or a flow and be able to be in some kind of pattern, as long as I'm feeling comfortable with him and I ask him, honey, I need to borrow your aura. Can you not talk at me for a little while? Okay. Most of the time I just let him talk. But if I need to focus and concentrate, I need to say, hey, motor mouth. Sorry. He is a motor mouth. When we're connected, he has more motors to his mouth, literally. And he has those voices that speak. So it's a little bit easier if you talk from your first person experience. You don't have to pretend and go, I would tell this person that. When you're doing this level of the knowledge, okay, you're going to practice, I would tell this person that in cycles. But this level of the knowledge, try to explain it from your own experience. And that is not only going to help it land in you, it's going to help teach everybody else in class what it's like for you too. Okay. So let me check the chat. Yeah, big picture. So center that you're conditioning each other in, and then mutual conditioning, and then openness, or however you want to start with openness, like you did great. But as long as you're describing what's happening between the centers in that section, because big picture view centers, it's the biggest place to find some really clear-cut recommendations that they already should be a little bit aware of or comfortable with, because you've given them a foundation analysis. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Quick
So,
question for you.
yes.
So with my 4323, have you noticed the compromise that I do with you in class? Do you know what I mean? Because don't you have?
I have a 23.
23?
Yeah, and it's a fifth line, but I have, like I mentioned earlier, I have Lilith is in the 43-4 for me too. So it doesn't create a channel, but I'm very comfortable with constantly being compromised by an energy type who has this kind of channel because it's quite common, and
Mhm.
I get it. So there's only one time I can remember where there was a little rise in me where I was trying to explain, I can't even remember what it was about, but I was trying to explain something, and it may be that you weren't getting it quite yet. But whenever that energy rises up, I do breathe and go, okay, how can I? Because what a 23 is very different than the 43. I mean, polar opposite, right? So the 23, my own law and protection, attempting to break it down into an even smaller chunk when I'm not being understood,
Right. I think I remember
right?
that moment. Yeah.
You, I don't remember what it was about at all, but I just remember one time where I was like, oh, I'm not able to get it out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we got it at some point. We got it.
We did. Yeah. And it's like, I
Yeah.
think so you're saying you're used to working with that now. Yeah.
I'm used to getting compromised. I can remember though, Diane, I'll tell you, there was a mental projector that I was kind of like testing out really long distance. He's a human design person, but not in the professional realm. And he was, that channel, that's, I can't remember that he has anything else. I think that was it. And all I can remember just sitting there smiling and not able to say anything to this man. We're on Zoom together, like getting to know each other. I just, it was the weirdest thing. Like I couldn't say it. I was just
Like your throat was stuck, kind of
like I
like,
couldn't tell him anything. I couldn't, he had to really like elicit information from me. It was quite uncomfortable. And eventually he like something really off. I'm like, okay, that's enough. I'm done. He showed up like buzzed and said some really inappropriate things. I'm like, goodbye, see ya. So, but it's just a common thing. Oh, the other thing that I'm really why I'm getting a lot of these, besides the fact that that's a common channel, is look, I'm learning how to do that.
ah,
Yeah. I had a student, I heard a professional who is in all the advanced materials. And she told me that she was told by her analyst, as she's a mental projector, that she had to follow her husband's sacral because the husband's sacral dominated. The hierarchy inside of when we teach you in LYD, how to find out the person's authority. So the analyst told her that she had to follow her husband's response. And I'm like, wait, what? No, no, we don't want to do that. You are your own authority. What's the point of all this if we don't help empower people to be their own authority and have their partner respect the other, right? So just think of it. You remember, this is the mechanics of the Maya. I keep saying that this week. Mechanics of the Maya, we have 1+1. When you're all individual on your own, there's no Maya. It's just you when you were just born, right? The Maya is built, if you put the two of us together, this is the illusion. This is the relationship. This is the, my mind said confusion because it rhymes. But yeah, literally it can be. So when you put the two together, you are seeing the relationship. That's why this is so powerful. Nowhere else in the world can you get this kind of data and hear these kinds of stories or give this kind of information to a client to help them understand and be empowered by each other's acceptance of the other and acceptance of the relationship. That's the most wonderful thing I can tell you in all of this for my years of experimenting, is having a relationship that is sweet rather than bitter or untrustworthy.